What's going on, guys? Today is March 30th. Today is going to be pretty short. Might just be the shortest one of these we've done for workshops because there is no links to share today. There's really no official, I don't know, there's really nothing official that I have for you to share other than my own opinion on today's topic. And today's topic is we're going to be talking about paying for features for your music. So whether you're, a rapper paying another rapper to be on your music, or maybe you're a producer like myself, paying an artist or even another producer to be on your work, what are my takes on this? And I guess without, rambling too much, I think my opinion on it has changed over the last several years. I think when I started out, even when I started working with people, which was around 2018, 2019, I wasn't really into doing that. Now I did that for, mix engineers, things like that. And I remember, when I was working with J Trey, that's the artist who I started with, we would overpay a lot. Like we were paying engineers, $700-800 to mix a song at one point. It was like astronomical numbers, and we didn't really understand that we could find people to do it at a lower rate that would be still up to quality, and we were paying like super high prices for no reason. And we also paid a couple different people early on to be on his first couple projects. And I remember, without saying names, there were two individuals. One of them we had a great working relationship with, and that individual we actually worked with, I think, 3 different times. And they did charge for their feature every single time, but for the quality that we got and for the promotion that person did to kind of help us push the song, it was very much worth it, in my opinion. And that's someone I still actually talk to this day. I don't talk to them all the time. They're actually more on the songwriting side of things now. They don't really do a lot as an artist, but there was a relationship formed there that has still kind of maintained over the last 8 or 9 years, which is wild to think about. And then the other individual, interesting enough, is kind of the total opposite result. We paid this person, I don't even know how much, for this verse for one of the songs we did. And it was one of those instances where he sent the verse back, and the verse was nice, did the whole mixing mastering. But when it came time to actually push the record, this person went ghost. Didn't help us push it, didn't help us promote it, didn't even acknowledge the fact that they were on the song. And I think early on doing that and having those two different experiences kind of gave me, yin and yang type of energy for both, because it's like, if you're working with someone that will actually help promote the song and is proud to be on the song, then that's awesome. But then I feel like with that other person, it was felt very transactional. Didn't feel like they actually cared about the song or the artist that they were working with or anything like that. So it was just weird. And I think to this day, I've heard of different instances where you could get a little bit of both, or you could just get one or the other. But I think what it comes down to, and this is in any collaboration in general, it has to be the right person for the right song and for the right instance. And for myself, I'm not paying for features a ton, mostly because I am just making beats most of the time. And if I release anything, it's going to be instrumental. Now, I did end up doing this quite recently for the compilation album that I'm going to be dropping in September. And I did pay a few of the features on there for their work. And basically the way I go about it now is I kind of let them dictate based on what their rate already is. If someone doesn't have a rate at all, I'm most likely going to go to royalty splits, publishing splits, that sort of thing. I leave it up to the artist, especially if I'm asking a favor of someone. You know, I have no problem paying somebody for their work if I'm asking you for a favor. And a big thing with this album in particular is I chose people that I knew would do a great job. So I had no problem setting aside some money to pay these people to help me out. And the result was incredible. Um, so I think if I had to say anything about it, I would say that you have to make sure you're working with the right people because there are unfortunately people out there, and this could be mix engineers, producers, whatever. If they're charging, like make sure that they're doing a good job and make sure they actually care about the end result because there are unfortunately people that will just take your money and that's it. You know, they're not going to actually care about you or what you're trying to put out or your vision or anything like that. So just make sure you're working with the right people. I personally don't see an issue with paying for features, but you have to know why you're doing it. And you also have to know, like, what are you getting out of it? And if you are indeed just asking for a favor, if somebody asks you to pay them, you should pay them because you're asking them for that favor. So, and it would be no different in return. You know, if someone comes to me and they just want beats for their album, you know, I'm gonna have to charge you for that service because that is something that doesn't directly involve me. You're asking me for beats. So I don't think it's any different on the lyrical side of things. I think people have the right, and that's the luxury of, you know, creating. We have the right to kind of set our own standards, our own rates, and operate our business however we want. So you kind of have to adhere to what people are doing, but you can always negotiate as well. I mean, if you are open to, or if that person, I guess, is open to any type of negotiations, you know, feel free to kind of go back and forth and find a good middle ground as well. And maybe, you know, you might not have to pay their full amount. You know, who knows? I actually had one of the features on the compilation. We actually didn't know each other, so I reached out to him, kind of a cold email, but he said that he recognized me from just supporting his work on Instagram, you know, reposting his songs, all that sort of thing, and he actually gave me a huge discount compared to what he usually charges. So that's just a great example of, you know, that happening. So you never know. And if someone doesn't offer it to you, just see what you can do. Maybe you can talk them down a bit from, if it's super out of your price range, just talk them down a bit. Don't be like insulting about it. You know, like I said, find a good middle ground that works for both people. And again, if you're asking for favors, like, you gotta at least understand where they're coming from. They have to put in the work to help you. So they can pretty much charge whatever they want. But, you know, I kind of say all that to say my opinion has definitely kind of changed over the years. I used to think it was really just a waste to pay for features. I used to think it was just like, you're not getting anything out of it. It's usually going to be a loss. And it might still be a loss. You know, you might not make back the money that you pay to get somebody on a song. That's just the reality of the world we're living in right now with streaming. But you know, if you really want to make a great song and you really feel that person is the right fit and they do charge, go for it. You know, at the end of the day, if you have nothing else, you might end up with a great song. But it definitely comes down to working with the right people. Just don't throw your money at everybody. But that could be the same, or the same could be said for anybody across the board. Anybody you're dealing with, make sure it's the right person for that job. So that's pretty much all I had today. I just wanted to make a quick one to give my take on that. Let me know in the comments, you know, have you ever paid for features? Do you charge for features? If you're an MC or a singer, what are your rates? And what type of results have you seen on either end of the spectrum? And what is your overall opinion on charging for features? So that's pretty much it, guys. In and out, about 10 minutes. So next week, or actually not next week, 2 weeks from now, we'll be talking about music vlogs, which is something I've been doing the last couple years, mostly surrounding the projects I've been putting out, doing vlog series, and some ideas for that, ways that that can kind of help promote an album, a single, or just promote yourself as a brand in general. I promise, try not to clear my throat that much next time. But as we all know, no promises there. So we will see you on the 13th. Like I said, let me know in the comments about how you guys felt about this one. But until then, stay safe, stay positive. We'll see you on the 13th with the next one. So take care, guys.